This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. These are 12 stories that we're following this morning, and thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. First, the markets are relatively flat this morning so far. We're talking at about 10 Central this morning. So far, flat this morning on May 1st. Second, Friday was a great day in the markets again, with the NASDAQ up 0.69%, the Dow up 0.8%, and the S&P 500 up 0.83%. The markets were also up heavily on Thursday. Year to date, the markets are up as follows. This is our third point. The NASDAQ, 17.71%, so I'm in a great recovery year after last year's dismal year. Second, the S&P is up 9%, and the Dow is up 2.9%. Fourth, Facebook Meta is up 93% year to date. So again, Mark Zuckerberg proving that he's got more metal than people gave him credit for. Fifth, Bitcoin opens today around 29,500, and it is up nearly 78% year to date. Sixth, First Republic Bank has gone broke. It's been seized by the regulators and sold to J.P. Morgan in what seems like a marathon weekend of trying to negotiate that sale. Seventh, the one-year Treasury yield opens right around 4.816. We watch this closely. The higher the Fed funds rate goes, the higher the Treasury rates go, the more challenging it is for the stock market. People are anticipating the Fed is near ending the rate hikes or taking a pause. It's very much expected they'll raise rates by 25 basis points at this coming meeting, which is this week. Eighth, see Disney layoffs. Disney layoffs hit Disney Plus as Bob Iger resets their streaming strategy. Disney's up almost 18% year to date. Ninth, a great piece on Charlie Munker's view of banks having too much commercial property, office property debt. There's great concern that there's a big shoe to fall in the commercial office property area where vacancies are way up since the pandemic, and where there's just a ton of debt out there, and the debt has to be reset at much higher rates. So a very, very challenging time for commercial office buildings, particularly these big office towers, as opposed to warehouse and industrial space, which seems to be doing fine. And residential is doing fine too. 10th, a great story in how hard it is to be the electronic vehicle startup market. Rivian is now down 93% since its initial IPO in 2021. So that's just been nailed. Its market cap has fallen from $150 billion at its IPO to around $12 billion now. We'll have a separate story on Rivian and the 5 points and challenges with Rivian shortly. 11th, it was a record month for rankings for the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. So we thank our listeners dearly. Again, if you listen to this point and you send me a text, or you send Becker Strategy a text, which is really me, at 773-766-5322, we'll send you an Amazon gift certificate for $100 if you're the first person to respond to this. 12th, the Becker's Healthcare Podcast ranked 15th today out of all podcasts on the Apple Business News. So we're having a terrific month there as well, with actually a great month of downloads. And a lot of thanks there goes to unsung heroes Grace Keller and Jeremy Core, who recorded a ton of podcasts at the Becker's Healthcare annual meeting. So terrific work by them. Again, these are 12 stories we're following this morning. There's so much out there. Thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast.